Violent extremism in Yemen and how best to combat it is the focus of the meeting here in London. But it was the alleged Christmas Day bombing attempt by the Nigerian Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalib that sparked the meeting. Abdul Muttalib is charged with trying to blow up a U.S. airliner as it prepared to land in Detroit. There are more questions than answers about the failed bombing. One is how the young Nigerian who was on a U.S. terrorism watch list managed to get a U.S. visa and slip through security.
Bottom line is this. The U.S. government had sufficient information to have uncovered this plot and potentially disrupt the Christmas Day attack. But our intelligence community failed to connect those dots.
And there are questions about how a young man from a prominent Nigerian family who lived and studied abroad became so radicalized that he wanted to become a suicide bomber. The trail led in part through London, where Abdul Muttalib lived from 2005 to 2009 and attended the prestigious University College London, where he studied engineering. UCL President Malcolm Grant says Abdul Muttalib showed no signs of becoming radicalized while at university.
He, as reported to me by his tutors, was a quiet, well-mannered, industrious young man, not somebody who stood out in any way, and certainly not in any way that would give cause for concern.
Abdul Muttalib's time as president of the Campus Islamic Society has also raised questions. He organized discussions critical of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars.
It's pretty normal activity, actually. I would be disappointed if our student bodies were not organising controversial conferences and discussions. I mean, it's what you should do as a student.
Abdul Muttalib's attendance at the East London Mosque and Muslim Centre has sparked even more questions. Assistant Director Shainul Khan says the young Nigerian may well have prayed there, but he rejects the idea that this played a part in shaping his alleged extremist views.
The thing is, we have no way to verify whether he has been here or not.
Khan says Abdul Muttalib's circle of friends outside the mosque or university could be the source of his alleged extremism, perhaps someone he met on the internet.
Quite often, one of the dangers of the internet is that anybody and everybody can go up there and post up their interpretation. The things that I would always encourage people to do is not to rely on the internet as their source of learning, but rather individuals and people who have got the right sets of qualification in order to represent Islam in the best way it should be.
Abdul Muttalib's final stop was Yemen, where he was supposedly studying Arabic and where he presumably hooked up with terrorists linked to Al-Qaeda. His communication with his family apparently prompted his father to contact the U.S. Embassy in Abuja, expressing fears that his son may have become radicalized. Radical ideas are not unusual for young people, but most do not set out to join a terrorist group, says sociologist Marat Stern, an expert on religion and violence.
I can quite accept the idea that he was actually an idealist. There is nothing wrong with becoming a radical. The problem is where this radicalism becomes extremism, violent extremism.
Although the focus of the London conference is Yemen, experts warn that terrorism can spread to and from anywhere, be it Asia, the Middle East, Africa, the Americas, or right here in Europe. Sonja Pace, VOA News, London.